Morning to you few brave souls who braved the snow and the virus to be here. Thank you for being here. I'm Roy Ely. I'm the platform assistant today, and several announcements. We just want to assure those of you who are here that we are taking extraordinary precautions. All the surfaces are wiped down. There is hand sanitizer everywhere. Please avail yourself of using that. The doorknobs have been cleaned and will be cleaned after everyone takes off. We are not hugging or holding hands. You can do the namaste greeting. And when we do the peace song, we can hold our hands up. We are taking this whole situation extremely seriously and trusting that we will be part of containing it soon. So thank you for being here. And if you would join me in prayer. Mother, Father, God, these are frightening times. May we remember that we have your guidance inside of us. We have each other. Let us use our wisdom to take care of ourselves, follow precautions, love each other, support each other, and know that even when it is dark, that things are in divine order and that we have access to the comfort of knowing that there is a divine presence in all of us, in all activities, in all that is happening. Give our leaders wisdom to make the right decision. Gives us the wisdom to know to do what we need to do. And thank you, and thank you. So be it. Would you join me in repeating our mission statement, which is behind me? Together. We are a spirit-centered community, living love and uplifting lives. That is so appropriate right now. I don't know about you, but I've been on house arrest, isolation, the last week, and it's good to see people and good to feel the energy in this room. Time for our daily word, which is, ironically, pray for others. As I pray for others, I affirm the unfolding good in their lives and in mine. Honored by the trust of those who request my prayers, I listen with compassion and then release all thoughts of illness, lack, limitation, inharmony, and I'm adding contagion. Knowing that my responsibility is to not set the situation right, but to see it rightly. I look beyond challenging conditions and attune to the essential truth that the one for whom I pray, and the ones for whom I pray, are created in God's image and are seeking to express God's likeness, just as all people are, and just as I am. I know that the divine presence is present in me and in all for whom I pray. It restores wholeness in mind, body, and emotions, guides all decisions, inspires prospering ideas, and brings harmony and peace to all relationships. You know, this is written like a year ahead, and can you imagine anything more appropriate for today? That's divine order. From Psalm 145, the Lord is near to all who call on him, to all who call on him in truth. I did forget to mention that our child care person is stuck in snow and virus conditions, and so we don't have Sunday school, so welcome to all of you guys. Glad to have you here. So this is a affirming ministry who believes in prayer, Please feel free, if you have a prayer request, to put one in the offering basket or in the prayer vessel at the back. We will pray with you for 30 days, and then it'll be sent on to Silent Unity. I imagine that their stack of prayers that we are all asking for is much taller than usual. So they're going to have to pray extra hard for the next month. I'd love to think that in a month we will not be dealing with all of this furor. So today, I like to welcome our presenter, which is Joshua Ignacio. This is the second time Joshua has been with us. He is providing a workshop after the service from 12:30 or 12?
That's an ongoing debate.
Okay. To whenever everybody shows up, to whenever it ends. I went to the one last year, and I can tell you that when I walked out, my feet were at least 6 inches above the ground. He does something with sound that makes your ears vibrate and then makes your brain vibrate, and then all of a sudden you're levitating. So I urge you all to consider attending. Joshua lives in Kansas City with his wife and children. He travels all over the country doing this work, which is healing and ministry. And he is going to offer this class, as I said, and is also available for private sessions if you are interested. There is a sign-up on the hallway as you walk out, and please consider taking advantage of that. Our musicians today are Joshua and Julie, and we have our wonderful piano player. Thank you, Leanne. And Gary is doing the thump, thump, thump. And the guy with the green tie, Dagan, our our drummer, is here to help us celebrate. And we're going to start celebrating by standing up and singing. And stay standing and greet your neighbor, but remember, we're doing this. Yes.
We're going to sing Love, Love, Love.
So when I greeted Joshua this morning, I said, "Oh man, this is really terrible timing." And he says, "Roy, this is perfect timing. It's all in divine order." And he said it in this absolutely gorgeous British accent, which automatically makes you assume they know more. They're tuned into something that we don't know about, so I believe him. This is perfect timing. So I do want to say that my son is an ICU nurse in Portland, and he's been calling me every day and saying, "Mama," he still calls me Mama, isn't that nice? He says, "This is serious. Things are a mess over here." So I want you to know that Portland is a big city, and we're not a big city, but it could be moving here, so we are taking that into consideration. A decision will be made about whether we want to continue church services, and please look on your email, and if you have questions, call, because there will be some very serious decisions made. But I also want you to know that if there are people willing to show up and you let us know, we could continue doing this with all of the precautions in place. But the message is we are all taking this very seriously, right? Okay. Newcomers, is there anybody who's here for the first time? What? And there is streaming available, absolutely. Absolutely, absolutely. I appreciate you saying that. I should have mentioned that. Yes. And those of you who are streaming now, feel free to come and join the workshop after the church service. And we will continue, I assume, then to do the streaming. There'll be the talk and possibly music if the church services are suspended. So thank you, Brian. Is anybody willing to raise their hand and admit they're here for the first time? These two? Yes, thank you for being here. Appreciate your attendance. And on the streaming service, if you are here for the first time, we welcome you. We believe in any kind of worship that is worshiping, and we welcome anyone who'd like to come worship with us. Thank you for being here. So, announcements. Joshua's workshop, which will be using tuning forks, singing bowls, chimes, and other modalities to support deep healing and clearing of the etheric and physical body, will be after the service. Please see the flyers in the hallway, and he also has CDs at the back to purchase. Do you want to say anything else?
British people are very intelligent.
You know what? I couldn't hear him. Say that again.
Look, it's when everyone's being serious around me. I just can't help it.
Good.
I'm sorry.
Help us to not be serious. We need it. Good jokes? We can have a joke-a-thon after the service, right?
Are we too serious? I can tell that Scotch joke again.
Tell the Scotch joke.
The children here.
Okay. On with the show.
Okay. The Power of 8 workshop that Peggy and I were going to do is going to be postponed until there is less going on, and we would like to put that on in the future. But stay tuned for information about that. And the same thing is true of the Celebration of Cultures celebration, which was going to be 2 weeks from now. We are putting it into the indefinite future, hoping that things will die down and get more less serious. So, Tammy, would you like to come up and talk about Kids Camp?
Sure.
Well, there are leprechauns about, and after they finish their St. Patrick's Day festivities, they've targeted our church. I have it on good authority that next week our minister may have a run-in. The leprechauns really love it when our kids go to church camp, and they want this congregation to raise some money so more kids from our church can go to church camp. I know church camp made a huge difference in my kids' life, and they're both grown now, Peggy knows that too. I'm looking around at all the people that helped with the church camp. They are an amazing experience for your youngster. What they provide is something that we can't do here at the church. It's very immersive. I haven't known one kid that ever came home that regretted 1 minute of it. They always talk about, church camp was so great. When is the one next year? This is so much fun, and I learned so much, and it was an environment that was totally supportive and totally loving. And when you see that in high school, it's an amazing thing, because high school and junior high are rough. They really are. And when you can go to a place where there's total love and acceptance, I know my son still communicates with people that he went to church camp with, and he's 24 now. So it's a great experience. It's something that's worthwhile to contribute to. What we are going to do and what the leprechauns prefer is change. They don't trust that paper money. They like the coin. So I know that Nancy wants to give a demonstration.
Well, we thought it was today, so we grabbed our pig bin. So we brought it today, so we're leaving it today.
That's okay. That's okay. Bring it on up. Bring it on up. It's a little heavy, but, you know, next week the kids are going to collect, and it's worthwhile. And you'd be surprised. So clean out your cars, clean out your change purses. You won't miss it, and the kids will benefit. So see you all next week.
So I know that everybody is like me and they have a jar on top of their dryer, and when the money goes through the dryer, you clean it and then it goes into the jar. Bring those jars. If we aren't meeting here, you can bring the change anytime. The idea is to provide scholarships for the kids who might not otherwise be able to pay for it. So it's a wonderful cause. I would like to urge you to consider that as well. We are now gearing up for Family Promise Week. This is one of the outreaches that we've been doing for years and years and years. We provide a week of dinners, and this year it's going to be at First Baptist Church in Coeur d'Alene. So we need people to sign up for 7 nights of spending the night at the place where they have for the folks to sleep, and then 7 nights of dinners. We are covering Easter Day, and so I think there just might be a few extra Easter preparations going on that night as well. So please look in the hallway. There are sheets out to sign up for this wonderful service. Don't also forget to register for the 10th Annual Women's Retreat. This weekend package at Camp in Sidson includes workshops and music, and the purpose this year is to reveal your unique purpose and vision for 2020. Register online at the website or pick up a registration form in the hallway. Now, here's the thing that is near and dear to my heart. We have scheduled a spring cleanup day on April 26th, which, in case you can't do the math, is way far away, but we're going to keep reminding you the 26th is on a Sunday. So that's going to be come to church in your grubbies day. Bring your blowers, your rakes. Even if there's something going on, we're out of doors where people can't get anything. And we need to spruce this place up and be proud of it. So we're going to rake, and we're going to weed, and we're going to plant, and the place is going to look like a new place when we are done. So please put April 26th on your calendars. There's 2 wonderful opportunities for service in the community right now. We would love to have someone who would be our event coordinator, and we're also looking for someone to coordinate our community garden. Coordinating the community garden does not mean that you have to dig in the dirt or weed. It just means you need to learn the sprinkler system and take the names of people who are interested in gardening, which, by the way, we have 22 plots, and 21 of them are available right now. So if anybody is interested in either one of these 2 service opportunities, you can contact me, or you can talk to Geraldine in the office. For any more details, you can refer to your bulletin or to our website, and like us on Facebook, because that spreads our information. So blessings, and we were ready for meditation.
I'm going to reframe what I just said. When I started to take my spiritual path seriously, there's that word, one of the first things that was said to me is to understand the difference between seriousness and discipline. They're very different things. You can be very disciplined without seriousness, because seriousness is heavy. And for what's coming through, moving through our consciousness, it will move quicker if we have levity. That's not to diminish anything that's going on. There is a concern out there, absolutely. And I don't have the time, and this is not the occasion, to talk about vibration and what that does to the circulatory system, to the central nervous system, to the adrenals, but it does do something. I've given my life to it. I know it. I see it every day. It is what it is. But you have the choice of how you feel, what you listen to, what you attend to. So the meditation I'm going to give this morning is the prayer of St. Francis, which was not written by him. But St. Francis, interestingly enough, a guy from Italy that hung around ill people and enjoyed himself. St. Francis, I understand, is a very jolly man, a little guy, tiny little guy. So how I'm going to do this, I've got a looping station here, which means I sing into it and it records what I'm doing over, and I'm going to build up a harmony and create a song, and our meditation is going to encircle us. I would say just let me get on with it. Can I have a C, please? Thank you. Let's take a breath. I invite you to close your eyes. Start again. I'm going to start again. Leanne, would you let me just do this, please? Thank you. So pardon where there's doubt, let me sow faith. Where there's despair, let me sow hope. Where there's darkness, let me sow light. And where there's sadness, let me sow joy. Let me sow joy. Let me sow joy. Make me an instrument. Make me an instrument. Make me an instrument of your peace. Make me an instrument. Make me an instrument. Make me an instrument of your peace. giving, we receive. Make me an instrument. It is in pardoning, an instrument. We are pardoned. It is in dying that we are born to eternal life. Born to eternal life. Born to eternal life. Make me an instrument. Make me an instrument. Make me an instrument of your peace. Make me an instrument. Make me an instrument. Make me an instrument of your peace. Make me an instrument. Make me an instrument. Make me an instrument of your peace. Make me an instrument. Make me an instrument. Make me an instrument of your peace. Make me an instrument. Make me an instrument. Make me an instrument of your peace. Make me an instrument. Make me an instrument. Make me an instrument of your peace. Make me an instrument. Make me an instrument. Make me an instrument of your peace. And so we pray, we call in this moment, Blessed Mother, Father, God, Goddess, to that sweet, blessed, nurturing light inside of us that animates and purifies and clears our whole body. It gives us life, it gives us vitality. And it shines as bright as it ever did. It shines as bright as it ever will. Call your attention into your chest and your heart in this moment, please. Make me an instrument. Make me an instrument of your peace. So the stillness that is there. To the stillness that is there. With your eyes closed, see the light that is each person in this room. That is the truth of who we are. And the waves of fog that come through collective consciousness and bleed into our own, all passes like cloud. All passes like clouds. But the light never goes away. There is none on earth that have the power to do that. Nothing. And the grace and the power, the wisdom and the light that builds worlds sits in your chest, the same as anyone and everyone. Bring your attention to your feet. Will they touch the floor, please? Feel the feet on the ground. Let's take a big breath together. And another one. And another one. Probably not. It's fine. Are we on? There we are. We're on. This is a song called "Good Good Father." I heard about 4 or 5 years ago. Chris Tomlin did the version that I like the most. I love this. I wanted to share with it. It's not relevant to today in any way at all, but I really like this song. It is relevant to today. It is relevant today because we are all kids, aren't we? Children of God.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, I've heard 1,000 stories of what they think you're like, but I've heard the tender whisper of love in the dead of night, and you tell me that you're pleased and that I'm never alone. You're a good, good father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are. And I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. Oh, and I've heard tender whisper of love in the dead of night, but I know we're all searching for answers only you provide, 'cause you know just what we need before we say a word. You're a good, good father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are. And I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. 'Cause it's perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways to us. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways to us. Oh, it's love so undeniable. I can hardly speak. Peace so unexplainable. I can hardly think as you call me deeper still, as you call me deeper still, as you call me deeper still into love. Love, you're a good, good father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are. And I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. You're perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of It's one thing when it's your own guitar, and it's someone else's, you have to look after it. I do have a message for you, and I shall give it. I've spent a long time thinking about it. But I feel there's something to say first. You've chosen to come this morning. You've chosen to be together in public with other people this morning, which is going against what a lot of people are saying is sensible and rational and even responsible to do. You've chosen to be with community. You've chosen the love of your community. You've chosen to support your church. Perhaps to expand and grow your spirit is what you've chosen. Many would say that we are crazy to have done this. I'm not actually joking. People would say we're crazy and foolish and insane. And just a word about that. Most of you in your pockets have a device which you could use to find all the information ever known to humanity. One of the people that developed that also went against the grain of what was popular and sensible. And he was also called irrational and foolish and insane. And there was this other guy who also went against the grain of what was popular and was called insane. And many years later, because of that guy, we have something called Christianity. So, our world is going to get built upon the shoulders of those who show up in courage, in fortitude, in love, and in bravery. I had a conversation with God the other day, and I imagined that I had died. And I said, "What happened?" He said, "You hugged someone." I said, "Okay." Because I tell you what, to refuse the hug of someone that comes to me in love, in pure open-heartedness, that's death to me. I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't want a life where people shy away from each other because of something they don't understand fully. It breaks my heart. Now who's being serious? I would like you all to stand up, please. Just indulge me, would you? Just indulge me. And listen to what I say for a moment, please. I'm going to ask you in a moment to clap and cheer and applaud. You know who for? For you and everyone else in this room that is choosing something bigger. Would you do that for me loud, please? Now. Okay. Yeah, well done. All right. Now, on to important matters. My kids are watching, okay? My children are watching. Please, I don't know where these cameras are, but please would you turn to one of them and say, "Hi, Eden, Sophia, and Alexander." Oh, well, actually, we call Alexander, he's my youngest, we call him Poochie. Could you say, "Hi, Poochie"? I feel good. All right. On we go. The message I wanted to give today, I gave it the title, "Exist as you are, or be as you appear." And that's actually a quote from Rumi, or said to be a quote from Rumi. That was not the title I wanted to go for, but I don't know Reverend Stephen quite well enough to push my luck yet. Because the title I wanted to go for was 7 out of 10 and loving it. 7 out of 10 and loving it. And I'm going to explain what I mean by that. Actually, it actually just tumbled out of my mouth once. I was talking with someone. And what I said to them was, I would rather be a 7, as in not a 10. I'd like to be a 10. But I'd rather be a 7 than a 6 pretending to be a 9. Because I know what I can do with a 7. And I want to be a 10. I will be, and you all will be. And even Sophia and Alexander will be as well. Actually, they're a lot closer to it than I am, but I'm a 7. The essence of what I want to speak about this morning, and this is an unusual day, but the sun's going to set and it's going to rise in the morning. The essence of what I want to speak about today is about acceptance of everything and anything. It's about authenticity and integration. I've already shared with you something one of my teachers had said to me about seriousness and discipline and finding the middle ground there. They shared a couple of other wonderful things with me. One, and I still remember the day she said it was in December, it was 10 years ago, she said, do not take shortcuts. It's taken me so many years to actually understand that. I'm not there yet. I'm still trying to, but I'm a 7, aren't I? And the other thing, another one of my teachers said, a teacher in spirit, said, one step at a time, through direct experience. You all know the story of the tortoise and the hare, of course. If I could be one, I would be the hare. Because I know one always... Sorry, the tortoise, forgive me. Oh dear. Coffee! I would be the tortoise. Because the tortoise always gets to the end, having had a full experience. And I'm sharing this because I came across this expression actually from Jim Carrey, of all people. He's all spiritual now, isn't he? Yeah. I should teach him to shave, maybe. But anyway. He came up with this expression, existential defeat. Existential defeat. And that's where you know lots and lots of things, particularly on the spiritual bent, but you don't actually feel very good. And I've been noticing that a lot on social media, particularly this week. Everyone's got an opinion, don't they? Everyone's read Yogananda or Daya. Doesn't feel very good. And there's a gap there. And I feel sad that there's a gap there because we don't actually need to know any more than we already know. We already have enough tools, quite enough knowledge and information. What actually has to happen now is for integration to happen. That's the next great time that we're in. Let me just go back to these numbers, okay? Because I don't want to confuse here, talking about 6s, 7s, 8s, and 9s, and so on. Because spiritual progress doesn't happen like that. It doesn't happen in steps and stages. It happens in a tapestry. It happens in swirls. We learn lessons simultaneously and in parallel at the same time. I've got this tattoo on my own. Don't get tattoos, kids. I've got this tattoo on my arm of a labyrinth. And the labyrinth speaks of several lessons being learned at the same time. At the same time. Lessons of humility, lessons of diligence, lessons of patience, lessons of family, relationships, business, all at the same time. All at the same time. And of course, a number is relative, isn't it? What might for me be an impressive skill or trait or quality that I have, to you, that might not be very impressive at all. I'm not glorifying mediocrity here, but I'm not aiming for perfection either. I'll have perfection when I have it. I want it, but I want one firm step at a time as I go. You see, when we're unhappy with a particular situation we're in, which we're human beings and it happens an awful lot, does it not? It's often because we don't want something or somewhere that we are, or we do want something or somewhere that we are not. And we tend to vacillate between the two. I'd like to share with you 4 ways in which we kind of inhibit ourselves from moving into our greater spiritual potential. And I stress moving into, because it's an ever-growing journey that doesn't have a summit or destination. 4 ways that we inhibit ourselves. The first is we can get very obsessed about an end destination. Now, an end destination is important to consider for manifestation. Of course it is. Let's say someone in here wants to be a doctor, wants to be a lawyer, solicitor, whatever. That's a destination. However, if you've ever read an interview with a mountain climber, rock climber, anything like that, they'll tell you unanimously, they know exactly very well that there is a top of the mountain. But all that matters to them is where they put their hand next. or where they put their foot next, where they put their hand next, and so on. The Super Bowl was a couple of weeks ago. Remember that? Feels like an eternity ago. I was reading an interview with Patrick Mahomes. Losing the game, wasn't he? And he had the flash of inspiration. What is my next play? 5 words, which won the game for him, and later that week sold many, many T-shirts in Kansas City. But what is the very next thing you need to do? Ask yourself that question 100 times and you'll achieve anything. Anything. Sometimes we don't like, this is the second thing, sometimes we're not happy and content with who we are, where we are. So I was a big fan of Harvey Pekar growing up. If you don't know who that is, he's famous for the comic series, American Splendor. He's a guy from Cleveland Heights, quite an ill guy actually. He was into comics. He couldn't draw, so he got his friends to draw for him. But he didn't want to be Batman or Superman or Spider-Man, he wanted to be Harvey. So he had all these comics created about his life, talking to the line manager, talking to his wife, the toilet breaking. These are actual comics that you can read, and they've been made into plays, and he is famous the world over. This little guy from Cleveland Heights that made his mundane, boring life magical. He found it. The third thing, we can have a fear of failure and adversity that puts us in a state of freeze. I have a question for you. Who can guess what my first job was? I'll take one. No one? No one brave enough to? Go. What's that? Close, but not very close. No. My first job was door-to-door selling bonsai trees. Yeah. I could carry 3 in my left hand. For some reason, 4 in my right arm, and I was really bad at it. I lasted a week. I sold perhaps 2. And I stopped after a week. I failed epically, as millennials say. However, onto my resume it went. Under work experience, bonsai tree door-to-door seller. You would not believe how many jobs I got because of that. In every job interview, I'd be waiting for it. There'd be a pause, followed by, bonsai trees? I'd be like, bonsai trees. You see, without the action and energy and attention that goes into something which in the short term is a failure, energy may not be released for a future success of yours. And if not that, it certainly and absolutely definitely will point you in the direction of where you should be going in. We should not be frozen, even right now. Even right now. And the fourth thing, sometimes we are a slave to our reaction and to our reactivity. And this is a thing you'll find in stories through millennia. Joseph Campbell, who talk about the journey of the hero. And what I'm talking about is known as the recoil. But I'm going to go a bit less highbrow than that. Some of you may have seen the last Captain America movie. So we meet Spider-Man. I'm sure you haven't. You're all too highbrow for things like that, aren't you? Okay. Well, for everyone else, I'll explain. We meet Spider-Man for the first time. So what's happened, and you won't know this, of course, what's happened in Captain America Civil War, what's happened is the Avengers have turned against each other, and Tony Stark is rounding up other superheroes for this big showdown that's going to happen in Berlin. Great scene. So he goes and finds Peter Parker, and he says, I need you to come with me, and I need you to come now. And Peter Parker says, I can't come. And Tony Stark says, why? And Peter Parker says, I have homework. And that's us. That's us. Destiny comes calling, and we have homework. The important thing about this little anecdote here is that he does go. He goes as Spider-Man. It's a great scene. You should see it, because I'm sure you haven't seen it. He does go, and that's us too. We have our recoil of reactivity, and then we show up in a greater aspect of ourselves and follow through. Now, what I'm talking about, we could label it all sorts of things. The difference between relative truth and absolute truth. The difference between reaction and response. The difference between fear and love, perhaps. The important thing is, as we get some awareness of this, the gap immediately shrinks. Immediately shrinks. Because, like it or not, we are in the midst of a loving matrix which will never take its eyes away from us, and we can only improve and things will only get better. So, you know how to make everyone in a room nod in 2020? You say, strange times we're living in, aren't they? Yes, they are strange times. These are pivotal times. Pivotal times that we're living in. And I would encourage you to look at your own feelings as they arise in response to things going on outside of you. And I will share with you some of my feelings in the last week as I've observed mass hysteria. I've observed cynicism. And yes, I'm watching both of these. I don't enjoy either of them. They make me extremely uncomfortable. But I have to stop at some point and say, I'm both of those people. I'm a little closer to the cynicism. Yet, there wouldn't be mass hysteria if I didn't have some. And all I can do anything about is myself. And yes, we have had the conversation about terrible time to show up here. It's the only time I could have showed up here. It's the only time any of us could have showed up here. How could we be anywhere other than where we're supposed to be? If that's not true, I don't see what the point of all of this is. I don't. If at some point we aren't going to accept or address that we are not this body, that we actually are in essence in a spirit that dwells within it for a period of time before we shift and change into another, I don't know what the point of this all is. Because in that awareness and realization is everything you will ever want. It's everything. I know because I can see this is not sitting well with a couple of you. That's not going to change it. It's not going to change it. John 13:34. Love one another as I have loved you. It goes. That's a difficult one to misunderstand, isn't it? John 13:35 does not say, and that will be an easy thing to do. It also doesn't say, love yourself as I have loved you. Because in these times, actually, it's really a lot easier to love other people, to extend charity and hope, appreciation, for all these nurses, for all these people giving and helping, extending helping hands. And what about yourself? Do you remember a few minutes ago you stood up and applauded yourself? Yeah. Because if we are going to effect and achieve a shift on a global scale, it can only start inside us. There's nowhere else we can go. And it's empty without love. It's empty without love. I do believe in the lifetime of these kids here, it will be understood what love actually is and how love affects and changes the physical. I believe those pathways will be open. Maybe not in the rest of our lifetimes, but we're doing some of the groundwork for that. So that love will not be an empty word when it's said. Love will not be the dwelling word of the hippies. This is a little late in the day to be telling you this, but I'm actually Jewish. Yep. I'm sharing this. I went to Christian schools, and The first parable I ever heard was the parable of the prodigal son, which should not be called the prodigal son. It should be called the ridiculously patient father. Shouldn't it? So just to recap for the other Jewish people here. So it still baffles me. A kid goes off, spends all the money, acts up, comes home, wait for it, his father throws a party for him and celebrates his return joyfully, like you all just did. But that's us. That's us. When we stop resisting and fighting what is present, when we stop resisting and fighting what is true and required for us and ours to do, spirit, love, God, angels, whatever you want to call it, celebrates because we've returned home to what is true. And at that point, spirit, God, love, angels, whatever can do anything with us. Anything. And there is a celebration. Thank God, he, she, they're listening. We have their attention. They're available. They can be our hands, our words, any of us. Whether we're stuck at home, any of us. So, I at last come to the title of our talk, this talk today. Exist as you are, or be as you appear. And we explain where I discovered it. I was in Turkey about 5-6 years ago. And I had the opportunity to visit a Sufi lodge. And all of the, the whirling dervishes. Have you seen that? Got to see that. Incredible, incredible. And then, of course, you all want to do it. And he's tripping over and so on. But I went to the gift shop afterwards and I found a postcard. And it was called The 7 Principles of Mevlana, of Rumi. And I'll just briefly describe my feelings as I read them. Number 1, be perfect. Number 2, be more perfect than number 1. Number 3, when you can't do number 2, try again. And it kind of goes on like this. And I'm just kind of starting to switch off here. And I get to number 7, which was, exist as you are, or be as you appear. Which I understand to mean, be comfortable with who you are, what you are, and how good or lots of good you are at it. Or do the inner work to make up the slack for what you're trying to be. With spiritual people, we've got this word authentic. We think we know what it means. We don't know what it means. We don't know what it means. So we vacillate between fluidly becoming who we are and pretending. I don't think there's actually anything wrong with pretending. I think there's something wrong with not being able to keep up a pretense. Because that is not in the coding of our truth. You give a child an instrument, show them a couple of notes, they won't be pretending, they'll be learning. They'll be becoming. Pretending has an element of fear. Becoming is just love. What I mean by just love is you're following the flow of spirit as it wants to act through you. And that is a simple is. It's a simple is. And you might say, well, how would I know the difference? You know the difference. Of course you do. Of course you do. And so, the battle of inner acceptance is one we'll be fighting our whole lives. Our whole lives. The choice of love over fear, like you all chose today. Clap, 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 clap. Yeah. A victory today, I would say. There are probably 50 other victories you could have today if you wanted to. I think that will do for now. That will do for now. Thank you for listening to me. Okay. You ready for something a bit more exciting? I'm glad you said that. Raise your hands if you would not like some barriers and obstacles taken out of your life. Very good. Very good. Okay. We're going to do a chant, if you wish, it's actually with the energy of Ganesha. Ganesha, the remover of obstacles. I will tell you the chant is Om Gan Ganapateya Namaha, which is a great big mouthful, but you'll get the hang of it. I will do this with my looping station again. Om Gan Ganapateya Namaha. May I have a B, please? Okay, thank you. Me? You. Om Gan Ganapateya Namaha. 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 Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Everyone up, come on. Om Gan Ganapateya Namaha. 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 Just sit down. Om Gan Ganapateya Namaha. Om Gan Ganapateya Namaha. Don't clap, don't clap. Breathe it in. Breathe it in. Hold it. Hold it. Beautiful. Beautiful. Oh yeah, you can breathe now. That was not actually required. Hold your breath. Oh dear. There's something I have to do now, isn't there? No? No? Okay. So
We've come to this time in our service where we're going to take an offering. So if the greeters would like to come forward. Yeah. We'll do it. Yes. Oh, okay, so never mind on that. Hold on that.
Our basket's at the back of the room, and we ask you to put your offering in that so we won't be passing the bag around.
So are we going to do that, have them line up and do that now, or are we going to just do that?
On the way out, but we do want to
sing a
sing
song
our chant.
anyway. How's that? We're going to sing a song for offering. We're going to do our Divine Love chant, and then we'll go into Holy, Holy Way. So please join us. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, all that I receive. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, all that I receive. Might want to stand for this. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me know that love is all around. Let me know that love is all around. Oh, let me know that love is all around. Let me know that love is all around. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way. Let me live in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way. Let me live in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me know that love can heal us all. Let me know that love can heal us all. Oh, let me know that love can heal us all. Let me know that love can heal us all. Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Let me love in a
Thank you, Joshua and Julie. So we're going to remain standing and sing our peace song, and we are going to, no kids, we're going to proceed out this week and onward in living in a holy, holy way. And singing,
We can proceed out, have coffee, then come back for Joshua.
yes.
How's that? All right.
I heard coffee.
Coffee's good.
There's coffees and goodies.
No, it's going to start, it's 11:12 now. What time would you like it to start?
12.
12-ish.
Let's 12:15. How about
12:15,
that?
I like
12:15,
it. Yeah.
yes.
Be back in here at 12:15. That's great. All right. Let there be peace on earth.
And we'll join in the power for protection, in the prayer for protection.
The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever I am, God is, and God I am.
Great day.